What is up, everyone? Thank you for participating in the poll. We're going to go ahead and go over the results. So the answer was the thrower on the left was the 100-mile-an-hour thrower, and the thrower on the right was the 95-mile-an-hour thrower. Now, I threw a little trick in there for you guys, and that's what we're going to go ahead and explain here. So here is the thrower on the left. This is the 100-mile-an-hour thrower. Now, the trick that I threw in there was this thrower has a significant amount of early torso rotation. We'll talk about what that means. And for those of you who know what that is, that generally correlates with a pretty large decrease in velocity. So it's pretty odd to see somebody throw 100 with early torso rotation. But the whole point of this is that mechanics are not the end all be all. Raw ability of the athlete matters a whole lot, which is why I picked this athlete. So let's go ahead and take a look at exactly what that means. Down here, we've got our hip and shoulder separation Z graph. So that's the hip and shoulder separation rotationally. If this is the pelvis and this is the upper torso, how much separation is being created between the two of them at any point throughout the throw. And this data was captured when this athlete came up to do a motion capture assessment at Driveline. So we'll take him down the mound. What we're looking for, we'll take him to peak hip and shoulder separation here. What we are looking for is for this peak in hip and shoulder separation to happen right after the front foot gets into the ground. Now, why that's important is because that means the front foot gets into the ground. Hopefully, the pelvis is in the right position at the right time, which signifies or allows the impulse of the block to rotate the pelvis a little bit more. That immediate rotation of the pelvis from the impulse of the block is going to stretch hip and shoulder separation to its peak. If none of this makes sense, we've got a great course that explains how all this makes sense, but that's what we're looking for. Use the impulse from the block to stretch hip and shoulder separation and have it hit its peak from the impulse from the block. Now, what we'll notice, we're at peak hip and shoulder separation here, but what we'll notice is this foot isn't in the ground yet. So let's go ahead and take him to when the whole foot gets into the ground, right about there, right about there, right about here. Now, what we'll notice, this torso is already rotated a significant amount. Arm is already dipping into external rotation, right? And if we'll notice here, we're at probably 14 or 15 degrees of hip and shoulder separation, where he had peaked at around 40. So he's lost about 25 degrees of hip and shoulder separation, which is a huge amount. This is horribly mistimed, but the whole point, again, is that mechanics are not the end all be all. Are they a very important piece of the puzzle? Absolutely. Are they the only piece of the puzzle? Not even close. So raw ability of the athlete matters so much. That's why training is super important. You get better on the mechanical side and better on your physical adaptation side, just your physical attributes, what you can produce. So appreciate you guys for participating. Hope you enjoyed the content. Follow along. There'll be a lot more coming from both me and from Driveline.